Every book is not for everyone, and there isn't necessarily anything wrong with DNF in a book, at least not in my opinion. Today, I'm going to share with you 10 books I DNF'd and why. My name is Raquel. Welcome and welcome back. So let's get started. I have a couple of ways that I decide what book I'm going to read. So I can see a cover and think that it's really beautiful, and that will make me want to read the book. I can hear a lot about a book. The book can be super popular, or I can read the synopsis. So that lets you know that I'm not always reading the synopsis before I read a book. And more times than not, I can go ahead and continue and read the book. But there are times when none of that works and the books are just not for me. So the first book is Queen of Sugar Hill by Rashonda Tate. I like Rashonda Tate. I like Rashonda Tate's writing. I like her books. I've read several of her books. This one, on the other hand, is about Hattie McDaniel. So the problem comes in where number one, I did not read the synopsis. Number two, I don't know who Hattie McDaniels is. I think she's the lady from Gone with the Wind, but I've never seen Gone with the Wind. So I don't know who Hattie McDaniels is. And this book did not hold my attention. So I DNF'd it. But once I find out who Hattie McDaniels is and read the synopsis, if it sounds interesting enough, I have no problem going back and picking it up again, because I like Rashonda Tate's writing, and I enjoy historical fiction, which I think that this is historical fiction. And I'm always up for finding out new information about African American people. So, yeah. The next book is A Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. This book was super popular. I heard a lot about it. People were saying that it's really, really good. And the cover was really pretty. That purple and blue, I think purple, blue, and yellow mixed together, that was super pretty. But when I started to read it, like the very beginning was fine. It was okay. It talked about this young lady whose family who owned, I believe, like a funeral parlor or funeral home or business or something like that, and she didn't want to be a part of it, and she wanted to kind of do her own thing, so she left and started a floral business. Like, I could get with that. That part was cool. But as it went on, instead of going up, it seemed to be going downhill for me. And it just got to the point where it just wasn't interesting anymore. And there was nothing about the book that, you know, I felt that was making me keep reading. So I DNF'd that book. Then there is When You're Mine by Kennedy Ryan. I literally don't remember anything about that book, and I know I read some of it. I was introduced to Kennedy Ryan with her book. Ah, geez, what is the name of that book? Before I Let Go. And I had a hard time reading Before I Let Go. And so, just in all honesty, um, When You Were Mine and A Love Song for Ricky Wilde, those are not my types of books at all. I'm not interested in that kind of romance. I love urban romance. Urban romance is my kind of romance. I like the drama. I like the over the top, like all the stuff that's happening. That is the type of romance that I enjoy. And yeah, I don't think that these have any of that in it. So yeah, um, I probably won't pick up either one of these books ever again. Then we've got Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. And this book to me wasn't interesting. I could not figure out what was happening. It did not seem like very much was happening. It just seemed like nobody was looking for Monday. And, really, I had to figure out who Monday was because I think that I thought initially that they were just talking about Monday the day, but nothing was happening. I mean, I didn't see anything happening. She was just going on. Nobody was looking for Monday, and like nothing was happening. And I just didn't like that. This was another book that I heard a lot about. People were saying that it was really sad. People were saying that it made them cry. And I am just not interested in crying or being sad. So I probably won't pick up this book again. Although I bought it in one of my hauls for 50 cents, I still probably won't pick it up again. Maybe if somebody tells me something or I find out that there's something in there that I find interesting. But so far, nothing about this book is really anything that I want to read. And then we have Swift River by S.E. Chambers. Now, Swift Rivers, I really, really did want to read it. The synopsis made this book sound super interesting. It is about a biracial girl who's was living with her mom and dad. Her dad went out for milk and one day and never came back. And I am, just saying went out for milk. He went out for something. I don't know what it was, but he never came back. And I want to read it. It just didn't hold my attention. So I probably will go back for this one because I do want to know what happened. I am probably just going to have to read it in small bites until it becomes interesting. Because the synopsis really does sound interesting. I think that maybe I don't have the patience right now for this book. So I will probably go back to it later. I can see myself going back to it again. Then we have Ella by Diane Richards. Ella is a biography of Ella Fitzgerald, which when I read this book, it was cool. It wasn't slow, it wasn't boring, but it wasn't fast paced, and it wasn't like really, really holding my attention. So I was reading this very slowly. But I had the book for 21 days, which is the limit that you can hold the library book. I could have renewed the loan, but in 7 or 8 chapters in 21 days is kind of slow for me personally. Um, Normally, I can read a book in maybe 3 days, 4 days. So 21 days is a long time. And then I'm only on chapter 8. So I went ahead and let it go back. It was really nothing wrong with the book except for the fact that I already had something else that I was reading that was holding my interest better than this book, and so I just let it go back. But I probably will get it at a later date, um, because it wasn't bad. It's just that I had something else. Then we have Men We Reaped by Jasmine Ward. I was a bit disappointed in this book. So before I ever heard of this book, um, I had heard of this town that Jasmine Ward is from. As a matter of fact, So, my husband's family is from Mississippi. And before I ever heard of this book, my husband had told me some stories about Delisle, Mississippi. And so when I came around to this book, Men We Read, and she was talking about Delisle, Mississippi, I was like, interesting. Okay, so I want to see, what it's about. So the book is supposed to be about her brother or about some men in her life who were killed or deceased in some way. And I did know, well, from reading the synopsis, she talks about being from Delisle, Mississippi. Now, if you don't know, Delisle, Mississippi is a place where, one of those places where it's a town where everyone in the town is light complected. So they're those people who think the lighter the better. And I thought that she was going to get into that because she mentioned it. And because that town, like, I don't know of a lot of towns where people say, oh, yeah, this town is where you go to date light skinned people or, whatever it is people say. I don't know of a lot of towns like that. Now, I've heard of them. I've heard of one in Louisiana and this one in Mississippi. Other than that, I never heard of it before. I'm sure, I mean, I would imagine that there are other places like that. But, and I've read, if you've read The Vanishing Half, then you know that there are places like that. But The Vanishing Half is a book. I heard about this in real life. And so I was like, oh, wow, interesting. So she made mention of it in the beginning of the book. I'm reading. She kind of glossed over it. And then she's talking about, her brother and his friend or whoever. And she never comes back to say anything about it again. And so I think that I was a little disappointed at that she glossed over it and that she didn't give any understanding. She didn't give any of her take. I don't recall her saying how she felt about it, what she thought about it, why it happened. I don't feel like she really gave anything. And you just throw this little colorism tidbit out there and then don't really acknowledge it. I didn't like that. And so it really just kind of turned me off. It made me a little bit disappointed. And I no longer was interested in the book. For me, the bad thing is that I bought the book and I bought several others of her books. And I'm really kind of disappointed. And maybe I shouldn't be because I did not finish the book. But how much do I need to read after you've already mentioned it before you give an explanation? So that was that. And so, like I said, I was turned off. I DNF'd it. It's in the DNF pile. Then we have a Lovely One by Ketanji Jackson. And Ketanji Jackson, of course, is the Supreme Court Justice. Um, I thought this was going to be really interesting. It is a biography, and it turns out it is super boring. I mean, like, it did not, like, it is really very boring. She talks about her family, being a little girl, being enamored with her father, and him being an attorney, and, just sitting down with him and, um, you know, pretending to do work while he's working. I thought that was a little bit cute, but not cute enough to keep me interested. So I DNF this book. I don't know about this one. I might pick it up another day. I don't know why I would pick it up I'm sure there's some interesting things in there, but in order to read a full novel, I need more than one interesting thing, which is she became the Supreme Court justice. I need some stuff. I need some meat with my potatoes, if you will. So, yeah, I don't know about that one. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. And then we have When the Reckoning Comes by Latanya McQueen. So I don't know how I came across this book, but I came across it. I read the synopsis. I thought it was super interesting. I checked it out and I never opened the book. I took it back because it was a library book, took it back, put it back, went and got the book again, brought it back, read the synopsis again, read the book. Took me about 3 weeks. I am super scary, guys. Super scary. I do not like ghosts. I don't like goblins. I don't like demons. None of the above. Halloween is my least favorite holiday of all the holidays. And so this book was uh so let me just tell you what the book is about. So there are three friends, a black boy, black girl, and a white girl. And they're all friends. One day, okay, let me back up just a little bit. The black girl, her mother tells her about this plantation that is in their town that her literal ancestors were enslaved at. So one night, the girl and the guy, her friend, who likes to take pictures, he's a photographer, but mind you, they're teenagers. They go to the dilapidated, dilapidated plantation to just kind of look around. He wants to take pictures. She wants to see it. You know, she's got a bit of curiosity. Excuse me, my throat is super dry. So they go to the plantation and they look around. Something happens and they run off. The next day, they find out that someone was killed on the plantation. They accuse the boy of killing that person. He didn't get convicted, but he was accused. And so it caused, I don't know, a rift, or maybe it was super traumatic. I don't know. But the three friends kind of grew up and all kind of went in all of their separate ways. And so throughout a period of time, people are dying on this plantation. So it was dilapidated at one time. Now it is a resort. The white girl is going to get married and she is having her wedding at that plantation. They go to the plantation to her wedding, and now something is happening. And what's happening is that the enslaved people from way back when were wronged or harmed in some way, that their souls are coming back to get revenge on the ancestors of the people who harmed them. Now, it is a really, really good book. But for me to read a book about souls coming back to harm people, yeah, it was my first. I can't say it'll be my last because it was a really good book. I truly enjoyed it. And so that would not be considered a DNF, even though it was, but I went back and I read it again. So that one was taken off the DNF list. And then we have The House of Eve, which the same thing happened, sort of. Well, no, I got The House of Eve. I started to read it, and it got to the point where this young girl, she meets this white Jewish boy, and they are friends, and they get closer and start to have a relationship. And I just was no longer interested in the book. I sent the book back, and here just recently I was watching a video of a YouTuber who was talking about her 10 favorite historical fiction books. House of Eve was on it. She said something about it being about a reformatory or something to that nature. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember getting any of that out of that book, or I didn't even see that coming in the book. Like, it never pointed to anything like that. But of course, maybe I had not read enough of the book. Went back, got it, read it, loved it. Good book. I'm so glad that I went back and reread House of Eve and When the Reaping Comes. Is that what it's called? Wait a minute. When the Reckoning Comes. I'm so happy that I reread those two books. So, in saying that, there are some books on the list that I may go back and read again. I don't know, but because I'm so happy that I read those two books, really, really good books, that I may go back. I just need something to give me a little nudge. But yeah, I have, let me just go back over the books for you again. We have Queen of Sugar Hill by Rashonda Tate, A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams, When You Were Mine by Kennedy Ryan, Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson, Swift River by S.E. Chambers, Ella by Diane Richards, Men We Reap by Jasmine Ward, Lovely One by Katanji Jackson, When the Reckoning Comes by Latanya McQueen, and House of Eve by Sadiqa Johnson. So I truly enjoyed those books. May go back and read the other ones. Um, what do you think? Are any of these books, anything in any of these books you think I should read? Anything good? Any of them you think I need to take off the DNF list? Let me know. Put it down in the comments. I'd appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, see you soon.